Open College of the Arts, Open Creative Arts degree. I started some weeks ago, and this is the second project of the first module, starting out in 3D. Very exciting. And so a lot of you are used to clinical presentations. So I'll just start by saying that I'm going to do a clinical presentation of a Miss Globe. And she presented in 1999 feelings of, she was very depressed, she felt very rejected, and she was left outside, you wouldn't believe this, she was left outside somebody's house to be given away to the dustbin. Anyway, I took her in, and she was doing very well. She flourished in my garage, and in 2016 something fairly bad happened to her. She very rapidly developed a severe jaundice, and you're going to see her later. Okay. So that's part of my art. Poor girl. And then I want to describe what it was all about, why I've done this weirdo thing outside. Right. The brief that I understand is to use space in my sculpture. So what I did was I did some research. The other thing I had to do was to be informed by the constructivists. Anybody any idea who the constructivists are? No, well, I'm still getting to grips with it. Remember, this is first term. So, the constructivists were a movement of artists who rejected the standard sculptural ideas, which were of carving or modelling. So up to that time, that's all there was. There was carving in stone, modelling clay, making things out of plaster. And they thought that for the new 20th century that they ought to think about using contemporary materials. Now, there is a modern sculpture sort of school. And what they did was they used modern materials. They used construction, like an architect might build a house, or somebody might make a piece of furniture. And my understanding, remember this is only my first term, is that there was a sort of Russian group who were quite mathematical. Certainly the guy who did this, called Naum Gabo, was quite mathematical in the way he did his sculptures. And this is how he constructed a woman. Somebody thought it was a man. I think you'll find this is... Anyway, so this is
it steel or is it...
It's wood.
It's wood.
It's wood. This is another very bad photograph of one of his sculptures, which is in Birmingham Art Gallery, and it's worth going to see. And I have decided I'm not going to do anything like that because it's far too mathematical, far too precise, and it's in perspex and pieces of sort of string, I would say. So there we are. I think it's really nice. That's from the top. Oh, come on. Now, so I decided to look at other people's work, and Picasso, in 1928, met a young woman on the streets of Paris, and he fancied her. And in the summer of that year, he went to the south of France with his family, and he stuck his mistress, this woman, in a flat round the corner. And as far as I can tell, he spent most of that summer fantasizing about this woman and seeing her and drawing things based on this woman. So that is, and my book A Concise History of Sculpture describes her as pneumatic. The woman was pneumatic. Anyway, I think it was actually the Picasso book that said that. Anyway, so he spent a long time, and he did 3 sculptures based on this woman. Well, I'm not really into pneumatic women. I'm much more for flowers. So I decided I'd make this big sculpture in metal. He got somebody else to do this. He designed it, and there's a marker in the book which shows you what it was like, with his sketches, which I think are amazing. He was influenced by looking at pictures of constellations being drawn and lines being put through them, which I think is blooming fascinating. So I thought this was lovely. I wanted to do a big daffodil. So I deconstructed a daffodil in my head and on a piece of paper. And I thought the corona would be lovely, the rim, the trumpet, the stamens, the stigma, and all that sort of thing. I was going to make it this big so you could walk into it. But Picasso had Julio Gonzalez, who was a metal worker and a sculptor, to make it for him. And I can't use metal, and I don't know Julio Gonzalez, mostly because he's dead. So I'm afraid that idea was ditched. So then I went to Ireland, and again this idea of space went into my head. I thought, I love this. This is a model of a sculpture that's on the way out of Cork Airport on a dual carriageway, and as you pass it, trying not to crash on the way, you suddenly see the Pegasus, the horse. I love this. Funnily enough, it was done by a sculptor who's based in Birmingham. It cost 30,000 quid.
Cool.
The commission, but they don't keep it nice anymore, so you can sort of see how it works.
As you pass by.
Oh,
only for a moment.
I love it.
Yeah.
Rapid movement.
Where did you
Now,
get the model of it?
where did I get the? I made that.
You made it?
Yes.
So did you do that for a photograph?
Yes, from a photograph. I think there might be a photograph of here. Then I thought, well, I can't make a Pegasus, and maybe I don't want to make a Pegasus. I want something more abstract. So I thought of Miss Globe, who was living in the garage. And then I thought, well, maybe I could do the same thing that Pegasus did, which was that you marry up the outside lines, and there in the middle, there she is in all her glory. Back to Miss Globe again. There is I didn't make Miss Globe, remember, she is a found object. There is an artist called Rodchenko who was a constructivist who actually made a far superior version of Miss Globe. This is a sculpture that Jim and I saw in the sculpture park, which uses this round idea. Anybody, do these look like anything to anybody?
Curlers. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. It's the beginning of
What do you think?
Curlers.
Curlers. Anybody else got any ideas what they think it is? There might be another picture. There, what do they look like there?
Curlers.
Exactly.
Lots of curlers.
When I first saw it, I thought, better to keep chickens in there. I couldn't get it
I was
at all.
thinking of hen coops before you said
That's that your hen coops? What's she doing? But in fact, they're supposed to float. That's
Does
the
grow
idea,
on
is
you.
that, and it grows on you. And we saw it on the way in, and we didn't think much of it. Yorkshire Sculpture Park.
Oh, this is
Fantastic.
this is
And then on the way out, the sun was setting, and the light on these jobs here was really lovely, and made it much nicer. She was one of the first installation artists, and that's her, Ellen Escobedo. Now, I'm a traveller. Went to London. Went to the Pangolin Gallery, which is a gallery where you can buy sculptures. And I walked in, I saw all these funny little sculptures, and I thought, they're using space! This is really exciting, they're using space. And this bloke came up to me and said, oh, I'm the sculptor. And then another bloke about the same age came up and said, oh, I'm the sculptor. And then they thought about who was the sculptor, and eventually the sculptor said, that's my father, and it obviously wasn't. Anyway, but I could ask him about how he did them. And he he uses all sorts of different metals. He welds them, and some of them he actually covers in gold plating, gold plating. So he uses lots of different metals. I thought that was really exciting, but again, I can't weld. I want to work on it, but Jim said no.
How big is that? Is it
That might be 5 foot. There's a little, and there is a flyer of his. And I thought it was quite fun and interesting. There's another one. And when you see them in the flesh, you can walk around them and have much more of an idea what's going on. That's the one in the postcard. And that's my friend's programme. I like that one. And then I went to Italy. And I went to the Giotto church, which is amazing. And in the grounds was this little job here, which is 2 hands holding a ball. And again, does anybody know what negative space is? The concept of drawing a negative space. Well, some people say that if you draw all the outside of a drawing, then an object. And then it gives you a very good sort of lifelike picture, and that's what Pegasus does. He has the outline, but what you see is the Pegasus, even though you haven't actually drawn it or whatever. He's there. So whereas it turns round, it's. There you see, you've got a little hole you can look through. And these, I would say, that's the use of negative space. I could be wrong, first term. Rodchenko's globe, related to mine. Distant. It's very nice though, isn't it? And he's one of these Russian, I think he's Russian, constructivists.
With a name like that, it's got to be.
Yeah. You'd think so. See, there she is, isn't she gorgeous? And she used to have lights on her and all sorts of pretty things. As I say, I can't use metal, so I've used plastic ducting found in the skin.
Is that where you got it? You bought it?
I know, I already told you I didn't.
I know, I mean,
I think these look rather like Jeff Lowe's sculptures already. And there's me starting to have an idea of how to do it in my front room. This is half or a little bit more than half a semicircle. And that's what I used to try and get the circle. It wasn't very successful. In fact, it looks better there than it does now. Never mind. There it is in my... Now, the reason, apart from the fact that Alison and Nigel are very, very generous and kind, the reason my sculpture's here is that it looks like a pig's ear here. Because what you need is a neutral background. You need rolling lawns, not, bits of...
chaos.
And this is closer to the botanical gardens than your garden.
Yes. So, there she is. That's before she developed jaundice. Now, I got terribly excited about my sculpture, and I decided that not only would I have these 2 bits going like this with a globe in the middle, I might have a big disc, and you could play with marrying up the globe with the disc. And there's a bloke who was around this. He was a sculptor and an artist in 1920s or so, American guy, and he was quite famous for mobiles. And he used these discs, I think, are reflective of mine. I have been informed, James, I'm impressed. To use, for a start, fabric, and also to have the idea that it can move around on a piece of string and a washing line, but don't tell anybody it's there. So there we are. Wix, that's from Wix.
Sponsored by Wix.
This is the fabric, because I thought it would be quite fun to be able to see through the fabric. I don't know what that is. It's my garden. That's what happened when I sewed it together. I wanted a nice smooth line, and of course it was an absolute pig's ear. So, but you do get the idea what the fabric's like, and it's probably weatherproof. So there we are. We're now in Alison and Nigel's garden, and look, She's white at this time, this bit, and we have Miss Globe here. Very exciting.
Sorry to take you right back in.
Yes.
How did you find her? You just met her outside one day?
I met her one day. She was outside a house.
She was abandoned.
She was
She was
abandoned.
What was her route? Do you know what her...
Yes, she used to be in a shop, and I talked to the woman, and she said, "Oh, that was from my daughter's shop. It's going."
So she started life as a piece of art.
She started life as a shop
display,
decoration.
yeah.
Ah,
But by that time, she had terrible feelings of emptiness.
Yeah.
What is a cat?
and
Is it a cat?
negativity.
Sorry?
What are we talking about? A cat?
No,
Yeah.
the structure.
Yeah.
Oh,
I-
structure.
Yes,
in a minute.
the globe. So this is how it got, and look, there's now, you might be able to see that there's a yellow pane there,
Yes.
and we have to put another semicircle in. So there, oh look, Alexander Calder's disc. Very exciting.
Mm.
Don't tell me that's it.
Try pressing the right button if it doesn't want to play.
No, I think that might be it.
Oh, have you not got the little video?
Oh, possibly. No, I didn't put the video in.
Now, what decided you that she should be yellow?
It's a vestige from the pneumatic daffodil
All right.
idea. And also I wanted a contrast from the rolling grounds and that we're looking at.
This is very
The
So
acres.
that's it. So
We're in the Edge Western Sculpture Park.
yes, could you?
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Tourist attraction.
Oh.